Yeah. So we have learned about what are all the things that are related to web applications. Okay, what exactly we call it as a web application, and what are a set of qualities that this web application products must possess. And when we are going for having this as our project that we are going for developing, what are the goals that we need to go for accomplishing? In that only we learned about some simplicity, consistency, identity, robustness, navigability, visual appeal, and compatibility. Okay, so in continuation of whatever we have learned in the previous class, today we are going to go for a design pyramid for web-oriented applications. So if you're looking out into this web-oriented application, they are giving us a kind of guideline. What exactly uh, must be a part of our design, and how we need to go for achieving all these designs in our web page. And the main reason, like why they are just going for telling about the design as a major criteria over here is you understood the importance of these interfaces. When a user is going to get into a web page, he is going to have a kind of feel that he is going to work out onto a project, or is going to he is accessing an application only because of the kind of visual appeal that our web pages are going to make. It should be aesthetic. It should have that aesthetic sense within it. It should have that a set of contents which are going to focus towards functions with the relative easiness in accessing these functionalities, etc., etc. Okay, so they had come out with a kind of design pyramid. Okay, design pyramid like structure uh, for giving us a kind of insights into what are all the designs that we'll go for creating while you're going for making the pages based upon some applications. So here we have the basic introduction to that, like the creation of an effective design will typically require a diverse set of skills. Okay, not only a person who is capable of understanding the functionality constraints of a project are enough over here, he should have some other additional features also. Okay, that is what they're given, like diverse set of skills the person should possess. Then only we can tell that it is an effective design, and it's a kind of design which is based upon the essence or the need. Okay, sometimes for small projects, a single developer may need to be multi-skilled. So we know very well if it is a small application means we need not even go for a pair programming kind of development. Okay, in XP, we learned about pair programming practices. Even most of these web application oriented projects are developed using these pair programming techniques or extreme programming technologies only. So we need not have several number of people for smaller projects. One person can sit and he can just go for casually observing what are all the things that are required for a project development. He can come out with a small plan, then he can go for making that entire plan into reality by bringing in the appropriate interfaces, designs, and writing the kind of code that are necessary for the entire functionalities or the design to work related to the project accomplishment. Okay, a small project, if it is a size, is going to be. But if it is a larger project, there should be a kind of concern, because different number of people are involved into the task, and each one have to have the kind of same mindset in terms of the design. They should work towards their common goal. They should have their frequencies well set in a common forum for achieving the things in a kind of consistent level without having much changes into the design what they are going for creating. So these are all the things that we need to look out for. So if it is a larger project, it may be advisable or feasible to draw on the expertise of the specialist. And moreover, this kind of designs what we are going to decide related to a project is going to depend mainly upon the person's expertisement. Okay, so expertise in the sense, like even we can tell that you are all the expertise to people in terms of project development, because right now if you are going to take any project also, you are not going to tell that I am going to start project for the first time, I'm going to do the project for the first time. Maybe the technology or the programming language what you are going for using the project might be a new one, but while you're going for taking an application and you're going to come out with a solution means you already know something about project development, how to go for approaching it and how to go for giving a solution for that. Everyone has got a kind of exe build in your hand related to any kind of project. Okay, so you can come out with some kind of feasible conclusions, like this is the design that we are looking out for, this is the kind of work that we need to go for achieving this particular project in terms of accomplishment. Okay, like the way you can just tell that, so you can be a specialist, an expertized person who is a specialist over here. But if you're going to take in terms of an industry term, these are actual roles or actual set of people with the designations that are existing. We have something called someone called web engineer, we have graphic designer, we have content developers, we have programmers, database specialists, information architects, network engineers, security experts, and testers. So it's one complete package. Okay, so if you are like you can even take a screenshot of this particular slide and keep it for your references. Whenever you are going for applying for any companies, also you can fix up your role. Sir, I want to be a content developer. I used to be a kind of person who is good in terms of observing things and deciding on to what are all the actual contents does a web page must possess. I have a good amount of experience into that. I have the kind of confidence into that. I had developed several number of web pages. I know like appropriately what are things that should be there into the project. Such kind of people can go for content developing. Or if you're telling like I'm too good in technologies, I can bring in all the kind of graphical design things into your project. I can make a page much more better to look out. Okay, like the way if you're a kind of person, you can go for graphic engineering. Okay, graphic design. Database specialist are also going to have a role over here. You know, like what is the kind of importance does a database specialist are going to have in terms of this web-oriented applications. So when anyone is going to interact with your work, interact with the project, all the set of data, what they are going to give as input has to get settled into a database, okay, in any kind of formats. So while we are going for being a database specialist, we are the ones who are going to decide on to the database content of our project. You can tell like this is the number of files that the project is going to possess. These are the number of tables that it is going to have, and this kind of normalizations are done onto the table. So everything related to the backend. Okay, you can be a person into that, or you want to become a programmer also, you can become. So programming is a part of it. That's what we keep on telling, like we have good number of opportunities for all the set of people who are learning the technology. If you're not too good in programming, you can be any, you can take any one of this role. Okay, information architects, they are the ones who are going to decide upon what sort of information have to be attained as input into the project, and the project is going to develop the project is going to come out with this set of information in the form of a data or in the form of a report for the users. Our network engineers, our security experts, and testers. So security experts' role is much more and significant one when you're going for taking this web-oriented applications, because you know very well lots and lots of challenges are there when things are going to go over the internet. Earlier and all, it used to be like within our limits. Okay, we know like we have the complete access over the server, and server is under our control. But when it goes to the level of the cloud, we need to go for emphasizing a lot onto cloud engineering in terms of security control. Okay, our security establishment. So we need to bring in all the advanced algorithms. We need to conduct a thorough study and research onto what are the advanced set of practices to put forward to keep our data from infringement, or to keep our project under any kind of malicious or abnormal attacks like the way and all, we need to work upon. So people who are interested into networking and information security can take the role of security experts, and of course the testers. Okay, testers role, you understood the importance of what a role of a tester is going to be. Now your seniors are taking the software testing tools, so they are learning many a number of things from the set of contents which we have put forwarded in the theoretical what we call theoretical content of our syllabus. So they are going out of the bounds because it is being trained by an industry person, and he is giving a real-time experience for our students. Okay, each and every terminology they are learning with the real-time experience. So you can also while we are going for designing a pyramid for web app structure, you can be a tester into that. Okay, so you have the complete authority of testing a particular web application, whether it can be delivered to the client, it can be taken to the, it can be hosted to the network, or little bit of changes that need to be done. Where does the system is actually failing? Is the security mechanisms are being properly implemented? Is the project is working fine according to the expectation? Okay, once it is deployed, we don't have any other choice to rework the things back. At least if it is within an architecture, means we can control them. But when it goes to the hosted part, and when you're just asking the people to download into their mobile or into their desktop and all, and when they start using it and still it is going to have some flaws, means it will create lots and lots of doubts in the minds of the people in terms of integrity of a web application. Okay, because already they are thinking like we may get affected with any kind of intruders. Okay, now your system, your application is also not functioning according to the expectations. Definitely, they won't come back again and make use of your website. So automatically, the business is being lost. Okay, we are not going to get anything as a result of people are going to come and access our website or not. But ultimately, for what purpose it was created, okay, that is going to get shattered over there. Is that clear? So this set of experts are involved in terms of designing and developing and deploying any kind of web-oriented applications. So if you're looking out into the design pyramid as such as a whole, we have this many number of layers over here. Okay, this many number of designs over here. So in design pyramid for web application, each level of the pyramid represents a design action. Okay, what sort of design has to be done, that is going to be decided. Okay, at each and every stages of our design pyramid. So as you can go here, always we can start from the what to tell topmost, in the sense like it's something like a physical layer wherein people are immediately being interacted into. So we have interface design, we have aesthetic design, content design, navigation design, architecture design, and component design. So now if you're looking out into the way of better understanding, it ranges from the technology to the user level. Why they're just given in that way is the inception point is always going to be the technological implication. Okay, how does the technology has been taken into the system? What sort of technology has been imparted into the system as a matter of our design process? Okay, so the technology thing cannot be taken to the users directly. It has to go through different levels, and finally the kind of interface what the user can interact with the project only can be the final deliverable over there. Okay, if you're going and delivering the component or architecture or navigation or content or aesthetic, they won't understand anything out of it. Okay, so they are all like intermediate set of things what our project may possess. Okay, must possess. Is that clear? So if you want to remember the things means, like if you want to just remember things for the examination purposes, you can remember from the technological level, technology level. First should be the component design. Okay, then we should go for architecture design, navigation design, content design, aesthetic design, and finally interface design. So when you are going to achieve that interface design is, you can tell that the project is almost at the coding state, and now I can go for developing my coding. But in order to achieve that interface design, you need to come across all these levels of design. Okay, that is a must over here. So let us see each and every one of these designs in detail. So first we shall start with the component design for our better understanding. So component level design. Now, from the developer's perspective, I'm talking about. Okay, from our perspective, I'm talking about. Web application components implement the following functionality, like perform localized processing to generate content and navigation capability in a dynamic fashion. Perform localized processing to generate content and navigation capability in a dynamic fashion. Provide computation or data processing capability that are appropriate for the web application's business domain. Provide sophisticated database query and access. Data interfaces with external corporate system. Now, if you can look out into each and every one of these points are related to some entity. Okay, that is what we call it as a component of a project, component of a system. We might have heard, you might have heard about component design. Okay, I might have told you, like when you're going for constructing a UML diagram, of course, you need to create a component design diagram. Okay, it's a part of our UML diagram. So this component diagram, what it is going to reflect is what are the different components, software components that are going to be a part of our system. So here, if you look out into through the functionality, okay, our project is going to implement through the functionality, our project is going to implement this many number of components. Perform localized processing to generate content and navigation capability in a dynamic fashion. Okay, actual project is what it should have a set of local processing elements, local processing components. For what purpose? To generate the content. Okay, what we call this generating the content? We need to go for implementing certain number of functionalities, and in order to achieve that functionality to happen, we need to emphasize contents over here. Okay, so those contents have to be processed in a localized manner. That is one level. And next level is navigation capability in a dynamic fashion. We need to move from one screen to another screen in order to achieve different functional tasks related to the project. So maybe like when you're going to take one project means for a limited functionality, one screen is enough. But you need to go for performing different number of functionalities at different interface level, different screen level. Okay, so it should be happening in a dynamic environment. What is a dynamic environment? We need to go for submitting the information, and the system has to respond back to us according to the submissions what we have made. We are not just looking out at the static page and stating that it's a static web page, which is going to give us only the information content that we can read and understand. It is not like that. Our interaction is also mandatory over here. Am I clear? So that this entire thing is a component. First component, if at all for better understanding, if you want to write, you can write it as local processing logic. Okay, local processing logic for content generation, and you can tell like navigation capabilities. Is it clear? And second is provide computation or data processing ability that are appropriate for the web application business domain. Now, all our functions, all our data, everything are mapped onto the business of that application to whom we are going for creating the project. Am I clear? So we need to go for providing a computation. We need to go for providing an automated support. Am I clear? So while we are going for providing that automated support, we are going to accomplish the completion of the project. Okay. So when you are going for thinking about the next component for a project, means the next component is the computation component or the data processing component. Okay. So you can tell like, sir, how I can tell that computation processing component and data processing component to be the same means computation involves some kind of logic, some kind of algorithm. Data processing also requires some kind of logic, some kind of algorithm. Okay, that is what they given R over here, which is appropriate for the web applications domain. Okay, business domain. So web application oriented, what are all the contents that are there in your project related to the logic as well as related to the data processing capability. So that is the second component. And third component is the database query access. Okay, the backend, the database query and access. Querying is a process of what to tell. For each and every of our requests, we are just going to generate a query. Okay, indirectly you are generating a query. While you are just going for giving your data onto your text box or anywhere, the data is going to be your attribute for that query generation process. Okay, so that query, what it exactly does is it inquires with the system that is at the backend, and it fetches out the relevant data according to the specification what you're going to give over here. Okay, so database is also a component over here. Am I clear? Not only in terms of querying, in terms of accessing the information, because without information, I cannot go for doing anything onto the project. So the so-called stored information, I should be able to access it whenever I am in need of. And over that access information, I must be able to do all kind of manipulations that are required for the project execution. Is that clear? So sophisticated database query and access is another component. Database query is another component. And the fourth component is data interfaces with external corporate systems. Data, it is not something like we are going to work with a kind of closed environment. We are going to link our application to some external applications also, provided the requirements might be there. Say, for example, if you're going to do a banking project, means all these banks are linked onto the RBIs, right? Reserve Bank of India. So they are an external corporate system. You are going to do a share market trading or brokerage, means it is linked onto one general common body. Okay, so external corporate systems are an integrated part of our project. Maybe like they may work from the external environment. They are not going to be a part of our project, but we need to go for linking our project by giving that kind of interfaces to the external corporate systems. Is that clear? So these are all what we call it as a component level design. So things which are given over here are a bit more serious, bit more important and critical for any kind of project development. Is that clear? So that awareness you must possess. Is it clear? Understood? What is this component level designs are all about? Guys, any doubts? So what I mean to I want the students to do is, while you are just going for preparing for the exam or preparing for the reading process, you need to ensure that you identify the appropriate components. Okay, that's what I am just giving to you. I am trying to what to tell exactly. I'm trying to take out explicitly what are the components that this particular component levels are going to possess. It's very, very important for you students to understand what is the component of a project. Okay, so far, what are the projects you might have done, you should have got the idea about that. Even while you're going for designing or you're going for creating a component diagram, you should bring in all these things into your diagram. Okay, you have to bring in what is a front end component, that is this particular logical processing, local processing. content navigation, everything. Okay, which is a programming language you're going for using. What are all the kind of functional keywords that you're going for using? You can put it as a part of your diagram. Then you need to go for bringing in the computation and data processing capability, the middleware architecture. This is the middleware content. Okay, the one which is responsible for performing some process over the data which has got inputted. Okay, and you need to go for considering the database, the backend part of it also as a part of your component. Along with that, if at all any external components are involved, external corporates are involved, most of the projects what you are doing here, maybe as a part of your course, you need not have that external component, or you may not have external corporate systems. But while you're going for doing a real-time project, definitely you'll have for many of the systems which are what it will a vast spread system which are being utilized by people a lot, will definitely have an external corporate system. Okay, so you should bring that also as a part of your component level diagram. Is that clear? So these are all what we call it as a component design. And the next to that is nothing but our navigation design. While you're going for doing this navigation design, the main consideration is on to the sophistication, what you're going to bring into your project for the people's understanding, making the project so too simpler. Okay, after completing the project, the people should have a kind of positive mindset. Okay, they should have a kind of totally satisfied mindset over that. Okay, they found all the things very easy to achieve. Okay, even when you're just going for giving a kind of feedback or something to Microsoft or someone, they used to get a kind of feedback from us, stating that how hard that you have felt in order to do this particular configuration of your system. Okay, so why they're just giving all these things is mainly to ensure that the people are totally comfortable in accessing the system, totally comfortable in utilizing the kind of decisions what the developers have made. Okay, it is not the developers' decision alone. Analysts are there. They are the final people to tell a go for the deployment of the project. Team manager is there. They will get into the work what was conducted, and they will just give their own suggestions. After taking up all the suggestions only, they are just going for finalizing the product for deployment. Okay, so even then, if the people are having some kind of suggestions or complaints to make about the project in terms of the navigation, they can go for doing it. Okay, so for achieving that only, we are going for the navigation design. So navigation is, please do understand that how we are going to move between our forms, okay, of our project, move between the interfaces of our project, okay, interface designs of our project. It begins with the consideration of the user hierarchy and related use cases. Okay, so use case, you might have heard about this. Who are the users of the system? What are the modules that the users are going to interact with? Okay, the functional modules the users are going to interact with. So from there, this particular navigation design is going to originate from the user hierarchy. Who is the topmost level of people who can access the system? The next level manager level, the next level employee level, the next level user level. Okay, like that we have different levels for each and every of our project. It begins from that user level hierarchy and its related use cases. So why they're considering that particular thing as a factor over here is, having stated that navigation, it is not something like everyone can move freely into the system at every interface designs, every forms. Okay, constraints are there. Maybe like administrator, who the person who is going to hold the complete responsibility or in charge of the particular software environment. Okay, he might have the access as an admin who can able to move between all the screens of the project. Okay, all the navigations he can able to practice. Okay, he can able to explore. But when it comes to the manager level, when it comes to the user level, when it comes to the employee level and all, things are having its own constraint. So that we are going to take into consideration. Okay, each actor may use the web application somewhat differently and therefore have different navigation requirements. Somewhat differently means minute amount of considerations might have been given onto the admin, and little bit more amount of less amount of consideration might have been given onto the next level, and so on. So each actor will be using in a different manner. Who are all the actors? Okay, it is not what to tell the people who are only going to use the system. The entire stakeholders of an application are all the actors of our project. Okay, they have a role in the project. They have been identified with a particular role or role name in the project, username in the project. Okay, so that those people, based upon their constraints, based upon their the kind of provisions given to them, the kind of rights given to them, they are going to have the access over there in the navigation requirements. As each user interacts with the web application, it encounters a series of navigation semantic units. NSU is nothing but a set of information related navigation structures that collaborate in the fulfillment of a subset of related user requirements. Okay, navigation semantic unit means semantic means study of meaning. Okay, so they have a meaningful existence in the project. Based upon that meaningful existence, we are just going to fulfill their requirement by allowing them to access our system. Okay, that is what we call it as an NSU. That is a next level navigation design. Okay, and previous to the navigation design, we have something called as an architecture design. Okay, to look out into. What exactly an architectural design is all about means this is another important set of contents what you need to understand, because majority of people, no matter how much ever that we are going to instruct them, they will not get the exact understanding of what is an architecture. Okay, maybe while you're going for preparing a project report, or you're going for involving yourself into a kind of prior level meeting related to your project, you will come across this particular design a lot. Okay, first and foremost, as we already insisted in terms of the conventional approach, architecture design will be the prior one. Okay, will be the pivotal one, what you are going to make for our project. So obviously, architecture design, we must understand what exactly it is all about. Okay, content architecture focuses on the manner in which content objects are structured for presentation and navigation. So we have something called content architecture, we have something called web application architecture, we have something called different structures of this architecture, etc., etc. Okay, so what exactly a content architecture means? It focuses on the manner in which content objects, okay, that is the content of a web page, okay, which we call it as an object, because we have to frequently use this term as an object here. We are going for a the advanced set of projects, advanced set of system level requirements. So obviously, object oriented programming should be the kind of method that we need to go for adopting. Okay, so while we are going for adopting object-oriented programming method, means obviously we need to think about this content objects also. Okay, so a content architecture focus on the manner in which content objects are structured for presentation and navigation. Okay, how they are being created for the presentation and navigation. And the term information architecture is also used to predict structures that lead to better organization, labeling, navigation, and searching for of content object. All with respect to the design perspective, we are going to fix up the things. Okay, better organization of the entire project related contents, better organized manner, proper labeling of each and every contents over there, and properly identifying the navigation mechanisms used in the project by simplifying the kind of work what the user have to undergo in the project execution, and searching for content objects. Even the kind of search related things that I already made insisted upon, that it is a essence of each and every of the oriented application. So this entire thing, we call it as an information architecture. Okay, so under content architecture, we have something called as information architecture, because content is a more generic term. But to be more precise, what is the content means? Content are nothing but the information of a project. So that information, how it is going to be represented in your project, the structural representation of our information. That is what are listed over here. Better organization, labeling, navigation, and searching of content objects. Okay, and web application architecture is the next one, which we call it as an addresses the manner in which the application structure to manage user interaction, handle internal processing task, affect navigation, and present contents. So what exactly this web application architecture is? It is going to represent the manner in which the application is structured to manage user interaction, how it is created, how the pages are created, whether it is favoring the user interaction or not. Could the user interaction be managed in a proper manner or not? Handle internal processing tasks. Okay, internally, whatever the kind of process that are going to happen, how it is going to be handled, how the tasks are executed, the effective navigation, how does the navigation is going to happen, and present the content. So this is going to care about the most important aspects of we are going to call a project as a web application oriented project. This is going to concentrate upon that. Okay, the most important essential aspect of a project. And architecture design is conducted in parallel with interface design, aesthetic design, and content design. This is a very important point, that architecture design is going to occur with in accordance with interface design, aesthetic design, and content design. The previous three set of structures. Okay, whatever we are going to learn so far hereafter. And the content architecture, 4 different content structures are existing: linear structure, grid structure, hierarchy structure, network or pure web structure. Just to know about the structure, I just put up on all these slides. Okay, when somebody is asking like, what is a what is architecture design, you'll be in a position to tell that. Then the next question comes like, what are the different types of these structures? Types of this architecture structures, they will ask you. Okay, so you should be in a position to tell that we have linear architecture, we have grid architecture, we have hierarchy architecture, and we have network or pure web structure architecture. Something related to our networking only. Okay, we have linear communication set of thing, grid oriented network or hierarchical structure. Okay, something related to that only. Here also we are going to see. So this is the actual architecture design. Already I believe like we have taken this set of contents while we have gone through our architecture design in the conventional design process. Linear structures, forms goes one after another. Grid-like structure, we have a kind of interconnectivity between each and every part of our system. Okay, the interconnectivity may be a parallel component or a sequential component. So while you're going to tell about a parallel component, based upon some kind of data here, we may go for having another screen to exist in the project. Or based upon the entire form completion, we may have another screen over here. That is what the thing that we need to go for understanding here. Is that clear? If somebody is going to go for giving like a project which may involve like are the users are going to possess the ration cards, okay, or Aadhaar card. Those are having Aadhaar card, those who does not have Aadhaar card. So those are having Aadhaar card will go in the sequential flow. Those who does not have Aadhaar card means there might be a link to go for making them to apply for a Aadhaar card. Okay, so that will go into this parallel structure. So upon completion of this, the control has to come back again over here, and then it will go to the sequential structure. Is that clear? So like the way we are going for constructing n number of grids, you can go for making with respect to this grid-like structure. And similarly, hierarchical structure, it may involve in terms of possessing a kind of hierarchical pattern. Okay, in terms of execution of the things. But maybe like the first initial set of contents are pretty much mandatory to get filled by the user, which may give the rise to the next level of information to be filled in terms of the interfaces. Okay, so upon completion of the next set of contents, the system will take them to further more levels and so on. Okay, so hierarchical structure in the sense like we cannot go directly into any of the forms, okay, without fulfilling the prerequisites. Okay, the previous forms, whatever the kind of essence, whatever the kind of information that are requested, only after filling we can go for, only after ensuring that those functionalities are going to be conducted, we can go for furthermore set of functionalities. That is what a hierarchical structure is all about. And a network structure is also like a form which is going to exist means this particular form is going to have the set of contents which are linked to the complete forms in that particular project, complete forms in that particular application. Okay, so system may have a kind of by way of communication with any other part of that particular system, any other part of the system. Is that clear? So like that kind of design also we can go for making. But do understand that this is not in terms of hardware communication. This is in terms of software communication. This is not in terms of hardware design. This is in terms of software design. Along with that, we have to go for understanding like the form contents. Okay, the interface contents that are relevant to a particular project are the ones which are going to have this kind of architecture design pattern. Is that clear? That understanding is a must over here. So web app application architecture describes an infrastructure that enables a web-based system or applications to achieve its business objectives. And the model view controller or model view controller architecture is one of a number of adjusted web application infrastructure models that decouple the user interface from the web application functionality and informational content. Decoupling means what? Almost like a cohesion concept only. It decomposes the user interface from the web application functionality and informational content. Based upon the web application functionality, the interfaces are not going to be created. Okay, interfaces are the ones which are going to be the most diluted set of representation, even though the functional contents are going to do something great, something very logical, what a normal user may not be able to understand. Okay, and moreover, the informational content also, if it is going to be a very complex set of information content, user interface is not going to have anywhere affected over here. So that is guaranteed by means of our model view control architecture, which we already studied in terms of the architecture design of our system in the second module, the design pattern. Okay, kindly go through that, the things what we already studied. We have a browser component, controller component, model component, and a view component, and an external data component. This external data component is the one what I was talking to you, that external interfaces or corporates may be a part of our system. Okay, so that also we need to go for considering, okay, related to our project development. So model view controller, in a more detailed manner, they just given the explanation. It is not the first time that you're hearing about this. Already I had taken this in the class. Kindly go through it, and if at all you have any doubts, you can just go for asking. Okay, and the next one is nothing but the content design. Develops a design representation for content objects. Sorry, is it done? No. For web applications, a content object is more closely aligned with a data object for conventional software. Design representation we are going to make for the contents. Okay, so contents are going to be considered as objects. Whatever the contents of our pages are going to be considered as an object. For web applications, a content object is more closely aligned with a data object for conventional software. You know, we already learned about what is a data object, right? Data object are nothing but the data contents of our project. When we tell about a content object, means for web-oriented applications, we can tell that the data object is our content object. Okay, so content is nothing but what? The data. Is that clear? So without the data, the project will not possess any kind of information within it. It is this data which is going to be attained, made as a content, and these contents in its raw form are going to get converted into a useful form. Okay, so raw form of conversion into useful form is during the conversion, some user are going to get benefited as a result of the conversion. Is that clear? So it represents the mechanisms required to instantiate their relationships to one another, analogous to the relationship between analysis classes and design components. A content object has attributes that include content-specific information. Okay, it has the characteristic features related to the content-specific information. Content-specific means what? All relevant information of our project, which are generated, which are extracted from the domain. Is that clear? Implementation specific attributes that are specified as part of design. So related to making the things to happen, all are made as a part of the design. In what way we are going to achieve this content? In what way we are going to make the things to happen? We are going to make, or we are going to achieve that via our design component. Okay, implementation component. So implementation component is nothing but it's a part of our design. So we have to go for analyzing the project. We have to go for understanding what are the requirements of the project, and all those requirements we have to put in the form of an implementation specific attribute. Implementation specific means we need to go for concentrating on to achieving the things through our design. Is that clear? So if say for example, you are just going to miss out any one particular control, okay, you are not going to write the appropriate code for that. Obviously, automatically what is going to happen is that particular functionality will not happen at all in the project. So the client will later raise a consideration that you will come out with a complaint stating that the project is not working according to the expectation. Is that clear? Simple example, you're going for inventory management. While you're just going for ordering the items, somebody is ordering and you're just going to dispatch and the payment is done, billing is made. You are not going to reduce that particular ordered item, which is going to get dispatched from your inventory, means automatically what is going to happen at one day, the inventory is going to completely vanish out. Okay, so that day only the user are going to get to know that this product is not available in the particular godown or in their particular showroom. Okay, so automatically what will happen? The showroom has to be locked, no other go, because the complete inventory was not being maintained. As a result of it, the business is not going to happen for the next day. Once again, they need to go for ordering and they need to go for collecting all these materials. Then only they can open up the shop. Is that clear? So literally what is happening? The business is going to get into a loss. The main success behind each and every business is they need to get the customers. Customers, whether they are buying it or not, that is secondary. But customers have to come to their showroom. They have to see the items. And they need to go for deciding whether to go for buying it or not. If no customers are going to come at all, means then automatically the business is going to go in failure only, in loss only. Okay, so that is what we call it as the content design over here. And the last before the previous one, the aesthetic design. Aesthetic design also called the graphic design. Okay, very simply they put upon like what are all the ways that you can bring in a kind of look and feel to your web applications. That is what we call it as an aesthetic design. What are the layout issues that we may have, or we are considering this is a myth, and we are just being panic of not practicing it. Many of the developers are having this kind of panicness within them, because we had gone to a level of saturation in terms of designing this web-oriented contents and all. Lots and lots of advanced utilities are being added. Lots and lots of advanced graphical techniques are being added, and as a result of it, there is a kind of saturation which has come over here. Now, any person, if at all, is going to sit and is going to start designing a page, means he'll be having a kind of mindset like already all the web pages which are of more attractive kind of more standard things are available. In what way I can make the difference? Is it clear? So that kind of mindset is there with many of the developers. Okay, so to come out of it, they're just stating all these layout issues and all. Don't be afraid of white space. First of all, don't be afraid of the things what you need to go for designing, which are being provided to you in the form of a virtual white space. Okay, you should have the kind of courage to bring in the contents as you start developing, because we have time till deployment, we have time till testing. Okay, and it's all a kind of refined process only. Okay, the way of attaining or achieving the kind of the standard, the quality, the aesthetic sense in the project, the decoration, the kind of look and feel, what everyone are going to appreciate. It all has to start from a dot only. Okay, so don't be afraid of white space. Try to emphasize the content. Always keep it in mind, like the content should be given with more emphasizement, however the way you want. I'm not telling not to incorporate any design over there, okay, any kind of graphical representations over there, but they should be diverted towards, they should be mapped towards, linked towards the content. Is that clear? Organize layout elements from top left to bottom right. This is a usual style what we used to follow. We are not following any Arabic standards from right top to the left bottom. So organize content from top left to the bottom right. Group navigation, content and function geographically within the page. When I want to go for navigating between the pages, in terms of groups, in terms of collective manner, I should be able to go for doing it. Content and function geographically within the pages. Okay, try to group them, all the contents, try to identify the right things in the right place. Very important. For that only, I'm telling, like now itself, if people are going to have this kind of knowledge and idea well in advance, it will be easier for you for while you are going for developing a project. Okay, even while our regular way of life and the way how it is flowing also, we have our own way of grouping the things, right? We are not just messing up everything together, and without having any kind of proper structure, it is very difficult to manage those things. Is that right? So people who are more insistent upon that, okay, more structured way of doing things. Many people will be there having their lifestyle. There may be any number of challenges for them. Okay, I'm one such person. I want everything to be in an organized manner. Okay, I don't want things to be in a clumsy way that we definitely we don't have the satisfaction at all. Okay, first of all, we won't have that work completion satisfaction. Even though you achieve wonders over there, you won't have that kind of satisfaction. Okay, because there is a kind of flaw in our basic formation itself. So from the inception till to the end, that flaw will have its impact. Is that clear? So it should be like, it will be like a black mark. So we'll be always in a kind of stressed situation, like whether things will go on right, will it fail at any point? I'm not following any kind of hierarchy. I'm not following any kind of standards. So will it be the appropriate? So that particular question mark and exclamation mark will be always there in your mind. Okay, so try to group the things accordingly. Very, very important request. And remember, again, I'm stressing out to the point, like it is this grouped form of representation of things to be a project only is going to make your client or the users to feel the kind of comfortness in using the project. Okay, you cannot just put different things at different places. When you go to a supermarket also, you can see the way how does they arrange the things and all. Okay, they have a kind of grouping over there. All the food items, all the cleaning items, all the plastic related items, so fruits, vegetables, grains, everything, they have a particular kind of grouping. Just think that things are being totally shattered. Okay, where does this lavatory items are there? They have put on food items over there. How awkward you will have the feel. Okay, so that thing you should keep in your mind while you're going for developing a project. Remember that you are reflecting a real world system in your project. So you have the kind of responsibility, you have the kind of you have the kind of reason to be more structured. Okay, don't extend your real estate with the scrolling bar. Don't make your project design or anything to go over your scroll bar. Okay, let it be within the screen size, screen limitations. Why they are stressing onto the point is to get to know about a certain thing. Why should I just to go for creepy on dragging over there? Already, moreover, it will add more complexity, more content will be there. It will be vast amount of information be there. That is the case only. You'll go for using the scroll bar in order to view the content, right? So that and all, don't try to keep it in your project. Try to minimize it. Okay, well, especially this mobile-oriented applications as well. You should have this sense a lot. Very, very important. Okay, how bad that we used to feel like when this kind of things, websites are when we are going through. Okay, when you're having a mobile app or web application, when it is having different size of the pages, different amount of contents to read and to make the things to happen. So after giving all the input, they had to scroll down to some more pages in order to give that accept or in order to give the OK button. Means how awkward they'll feel. Okay, try to keep it simple and smart as much as possible. Consider resolution and browser window size when designing the layout. Okay, this is a challenge that we have. Try to consider the resolution and the browser window size. Common size of the monitors that you have to take into consideration while you're going for designing your layout content. Okay, and the first one is nothing but the interface design. Where am I? What can I do now? Okay, definitely this will be the main consideration of a user. Where am I? Interface should provide an indication of the web application that has been accessed. Inform the user of location of the content hierarchy. Okay, here only we have to show our smartness, as I already used to tell that. When you are going to make a people to enter into the page, it is something like you're going to make them to come into your huge house. Okay, so they should have the kind of indication like what is a web application that they have been accessing. Put the title wherever it is appropriate. Give the name to the page wherever it is appropriate. Any reports are being generated, give the title to the report. Any forms are going to display, give a title to the form. Okay, don't think that the user are clever people. Okay, I am not telling they are not having the knowledge. They are having knowledge in their own business, in their own environment. They are the king. Okay, but when they come into our application, they should have the kind of awareness that where they are into, what they are into. Okay, inform the user of location of the content hierarchy. It's not something like you can call them and inform each and every time. Your screen should have that kind of title. The screen should have the kind of location oriented information within your web application. Is that clear? Very, very important. Where am I? What can I do now? Interface should always help the user to understand his current options. Having come into a web page, you have to properly guide the people by means of your comments, by means of your messages in a more pleasing manner. Okay, don't see this is the kind of mistakes what many of the developers used to make. They used to be arrogant. Okay, they used to put like some unwanted terms over there, stating like, wow, the way how you are doing is wrong. Okay, you should not do that. We cannot expect always what to tell a group of people to access, or we cannot expect always like our known people are going to have the access. Okay, it is all going to be like common forum. It's going to go into. It is going to when somebody is going to come into your office, how we are going to treat them. Similar way only we have to treat them when they are going to be there in web application also, web-oriented systems also. Interface should always help the user to understand his current options. When they come into a system, they should have an idea of what they have to do. What are the options that are available for them? Very, very important. A nice way they are just given this. Interface should always help the user to understand what is the current options. Current options, having come into a page, they should not wonder like what to do. And they should not look out into hell for each and every of the screens. Okay, the screen should be friendly enough. They should be informative enough, making the people to understand what they have to do. Okay, still now many web pages which are available for us are not of that kind. It's very difficult to, especially in terms of searching or report generation. We used to struggle a lot. Okay, those websites and that really they need to work upon. They have to work upon a lot because again, people are not ready to think about the users. Okay, they always think about how to give a solution. Okay, I got a solution. Let me just finish it up and throw it out. That is the mindset of many of the people who are into this kind of development. Okay, so we should definitely not to have that kind of thought in our mind. So you complete the system and give to any of your friends. Okay, make them to work on to that. If it's your own product, if it's your own company, means give to your friend and make them to work and make them to tell them to give their opinions. Okay, if your friend may not be a person who knows technology. Is it clear? What functions are available in the project? Why should I give this data? We are querying no. While somebody is coming and asking your Aadhaar number, means immediately we are querying why I have to give my Aadhaar number. I cannot show my Aadhaar card. It's very private. Somebody may hack my information and they'll send unwanted SMS and all. Sometimes they may go for accessing my bank account. They'll get to know about what are my transactions through my PAN number. So n number of questions we are asking, right? When you are asking any kind of information through your web page also, we are responsible for giving them the kind of safe feel or comfortable feel that this data are not going to be utilized for any other unwanted purposes. Okay, you have to give that assurity over there. After seeing that assurity only, we are also having the kind of dareness to give our important critical information, right? So what functions are available? Okay, they should know what are the functions available, and they should know like our data is going to be taken for what kind of function, what sort of function. Okay, what links are live, what content is relevant, all this, what sort of input they need to go for giving into the system. Relevant contents they should know through our verification validation mechanisms. You should go for making the people to give the right information. Okay, according to them, as I keep on telling, when you're going to go for giving a date value, you should give the right date value. It's not like the date format, if it is satisfying, you can give some other 111 like that and all. Okay, so that relevant content we need to go for giving over there. What links are alive? What are the links that they can click on to so that they will have an access? Try to show the color differences, the links which are live, which are not live. Try to make your mouse hovering in a proper manner, converting it from the normal mouse pointer to the finger point kind of representation. Whichever the ways that you want, you can go for giving. Is it clear? So these are the things that we need to look out for. And where have I been? Where am I going? The interface must facilitate navigation. So far, whatever I have done, and hereafter, where I'm going to go. That is what navigation is all about. So this navigation should provide the right kind of information. Okay, provide a map implemented in a way that is easy to understand of where the user has been and what parts may be taken to move elsewhere within the web application. So you can create as a separate control, okay, a map control, and you can just tell like these are the things that you have completed so far. Right now you are into the screen, and you have to go for this kind of screen immediately next. Help-oriented information can be given then and there where it is required. Is it clear? So these are the things that we need to look out for while you're going for creating an interface design. Is that clear? So you have to have an understanding of things like what is interface, what is aesthetic, what is content, navigation, architecture, component. First of all, that is very important. And you can add up a design as a terminology over here, not a big deal. Okay, but how to achieve these things? What are the things that we have to look out for? Okay, that we have to explain when it is going to be asked in the examination. You can mark it as important because this particular module will definitely have certain set of questions which are going to give you a kind of awareness over what are the roles and responsibilities of web application developers. Okay, because you are the future generation whom are going to be responsible for the deployment of several number of products. Is that clear? Understood? Whether I am going to take or any external person going to take the question paper, definitely you will include this particular topic as a part of your question paper. Okay, so please do mark it as important. With this, the fourth module is concluding. Am I clear? And the next to that, we have the fifth module on software configuration management and agile practices and secure coding techniques. Okay, so these things I'll try to complete in the next class. Agile, the software configuration management, I'll go in detail. Agile already we have dealt with, and secure coding, I'll just give you a brief out of it. So tomorrow I may come for, I'll try to come in the first hour. If not the case, maybe the last hour. Okay, this hour is a little bit comfortable for me. The reason being,